Alrighty. I'm sorry I'm a little bit late, about like 6 or so minutes late. That was because I was watching Rogue the Internet Man's new video on YTM&D, and I completely lost track of time. It was a good video. Just sharing the link for everybody. Wait, am I doing the wrong link? I might be. I just did the wrong link. Can you guys tell that I'm a boomer yet? Alright, so if you guys don't know, the point of this stream is to take the autism quotient test, which I have taken before in the past. My hair is drying, by the way, that's why it looks terrible. So I have taken this test before in the past. I don't remember what my score was. I'm gonna throw out the guesstimate that the score that I'm going to get is somewhere in the 30s. I feel like that would be reflective of the actual diagnosed Asperger's that I do have. So I think I'm just going to assume that I'm probably going to get a response kind of like that. Thank you. It is my birthday. That's the other thing. So today I am officially 27 years old. I don't know if I'm going to survive to the end of this year. I feel like I'm somebody who, despite not being a drug addict musician, I feel like I'm just going to die this year. I feel like it's the end. Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe I'm supposed to. It's good that you like me. Not many people do. So I'm just going to give it another like 2 or 3 minutes or so. Something that I do need to talk to you guys about is I got an email yesterday. I got an email saying from YouTube, and it said, YouTube removed your content. And it said, "Hi, Mako Horror Show. We wanted to let you know that our team reviewed your content and we think it violates our violent criminal organizations policy. We know that you may not have realized this was a violation of our policies, so we're not applying a strike to your channel. However, we have removed the following content from YouTube: watch listed Spurgy Spree Killers." So the watch listed that they removed was the watch listed that I did about Elliot Rodger. Now, I posted that video in 2021, and I knew from the moment that I posted it that at some point in the future, I knew that the video was going to get taken down. I was kind of the mentality like, I want to make this video. I have things that I want to say about this topic. I'm going to make this video. And because my channel is and still is so small, I figured that what was going to happen was that the video would fly under the radar for a sufficient amount of time. It flew under the radar for a full, like a full 2 years. That video was up with no problems. But I knew it's at some point I knew that it would get taken down. So I'm not surprised about that. I'm not even necessarily that mad about it because I had braced myself for that when I originally made the video. So I mean, it's the big thing is like I'm way too small to do anything about that. I'm not going to draw attention to myself. That's the other thing is I'm not gonna try to challenge them on it because if I do that, I am so small that they will just erase me immediately. Like, just it's not I it's not smart to try to go up against them or to do anything about it. So I'm just gonna focus on the future content that I'm making, and I'm just not gonna care about this. And maybe at some point in the future, when if my channel's bigger, maybe I could potentially re-upload it with some kind of disclaimer in it, like saying Elliot Rodger is a bad person. I don't support Elliot Rodger, and maybe they'll let it stay up, but probably not. Are you black? I don't think I am black. That's right. I don't think I'm black. Are your eyes brown or hazel? They're brown. They're dark brown. I'm sitting right in front of a window, so the sunlight's finally coming in. It's been raining all morning in a very nice, calming way. So I think about enough time has passed. Do you guys want to start the birthday autism test? Are you guys ready? Are you Sicilian? I don't know if that's the part of Italy that my family's from, but I am, on my mother's side, I am Italian. So maybe. Sitting here drinking coffee. I'm trying to remember if there was something else I wanted to talk to you guys about before I start the test. I feel like there was. Oh, yes. So the other thing, I'm sorry, just before we start the test, the other thing that I wanted to talk about was the fact that so I am going to try and finish the artwork for the second chapter of A New Spirit today. I don't think that it's going to be done by the end of this month. There's I still have a lot more to write. It's just not feasible. The video is probably going to be up sometime in May. I haven't even gotten to the physical point in the story when the drawing that I made is happening. So it's not going to happen. So I will be finishing that up next month. That is going to happen. I am going to start this test. So like I said before, I have taken this test before. So I know to an extent. Can I move this into a new window? To new window. Yes, that's what I want to do. So I was telling you guys, I've taken this test before. And I don't recall what the exact score that I got was, but I'm assuming that it's going to be somewhere in the 30s, somewhere that is reflective of high functioning autism. What is your favorite food? Either I'm spacing out. It's either I like pretty much any sort of Asian food. Pretty much I love because the thing is where I grew up there's a very strong in this town there's a very strong Chinese population. So I'm talking about like real Asian food. And then I like pineapple pizza. And however you feel about that, I really don't give a shit. I like it. I like to have pineapple pizza with black olives and sometimes bacon on it. Spicy pineapple pizza is good. You can also put jalapenos on it. Yeah, but we are going to start the test. So this is the autism spectrum quotient. The first one is I prefer to do things with others rather than on my own. The thing that I don't like about this question is when it says do things, I don't know what it's referring to. I'm assuming it's talking about leisurely activities or fun activities, but I would say that I am a person who likes to work alone, but I don't dislike it, but I would say that if I'm trying to do something that's more fun, I would like to have somebody else with me to do it. So that's the thing that I don't like about this question is I don't know what you mean by do things. But given the context of the test, we are going to assume that they are talking about leisurely social activities. So I'm going to say, I prefer to do things with others rather than on my own. I'm going to say slightly agree. I prefer to do things the same way over and over again. I am definitely somebody who finds comfort in routines, healthy routines. That's something that um, I definitely care about that. I'm definitely a very structured person. I tend to fall into habits in a healthy way very easily, and I try to stick with them. And if my routine is upset a little bit, it does. I'm not like hypersensitive to it, but it does sort of bother me. I'm gonna say slightly agree. Oh, this is the question that when Florian I mean, it's not just Florian, it's a thing that people make fun of on Twitter. So question number 3 is if I try to imagine something, I find it very easy to create a picture in my mind. And this is that meme where people talk about like how there's literally apparently I never knew about this until Twitter. That there is like apparently like a massive segment of our population that is like extremely underdeveloped in this way, where it's like if you tell them to picture an apple, they apparently see, like, blurry colors and shit, like, they literally can't visualize an apple inside their head, and the concept of that blows my fucking mind. Like, I can close my eyes right now, and I have a hyper vivid image in my head of a golden delicious apple with, like, the tiny little brown freckles on it inside of a basket under a tree on a pretty sunny day. Like I can visualize that inside my head like instantaneously. So this is like definitely agree for me. I can visualize things super fucking easily. Granny Smith apples are also really good. Delicious is really good. I don't know why for whatever reason when you tell me to picture an apple for some reason I like to picture the yellow one inside my head and I don't know why. What facial cleanser do you use? I use a couple of different ones. I like the CeraVe hydrating facial cleanser, and I also like the Biore charcoal cleanser. That's a really good one. I frequently get so strongly absorbed in one thing that I lose sight of other things. Definitely agree. My mind, I definitely have that capacity, that autistic capacity to fixate on something and I can use it to my advantage when I have to. So like if I when I was in college and in high school, like anything involving academic studies, I can definitely use my capacity to do that to my advantage. I can definitely make use of it when I need to. The only problem is when I'm not making use of it for something that's beneficial to myself or other people, it can definitely pull me away from other things that are important. I often notice small sounds when others do not. Yes. This is another one. So something that one of I was friends with a mother who had an autistic son. And one of the things that she would tell me about was she would tell me that when she and her son would listen to music, he could pick out certain like I don't know what's the right word. It's not notes or I don't want to when I use the word undertones, that's more something that you would use to describe colors, but I'm talking about like layers of sound in a song. And she told me that he could hear these like undercurrents of sounds or beats or little tiny details in the music that she would not be perceptive to. And that's definitely true for me too. That when I listen to music or when I am just using like I'm very auditorily sensitive and I can hear things that other people definitely don't hear. Like under yes, like under tracks. Like there's like when you listen to music, there's like the bass, then there's maybe the vocals, there's different layers to what you're listening to. And what she was saying is that her son is capable of hearing all different layers of the music, and I definitely have that ability in me. I usually notice car number plates or similar strings of information. Yes, definitely agree. So I tend to be very perceptive of things like that. I definitely when I drive around or when I'm riding in the car, I'm looking at other people's license plates. And something that's interesting is I've had it happen to me a couple of times where I have seen the exact same car. And it makes sense because you live in a town with the same people. And if you drive on certain roads every day, they are most likely taking the same roads that you do. It's not that interesting of a coincidence. But I've been able to recognize certain cars multiple times on the road, or I can recognize them when they're parked in their driveways, like knowing that like I've seen that person driving. Other people frequently tell me that what I've said is impolite, even though I think it is polite. The problem with me and this question is it's not that I think that what I said is polite. It's that I don't give a shit. So it's not that like other people are telling me that what I've said is impolite and that I am so autistic that I don't recognize it. It's more so just that I am such a traumatized, rough person that it's like I guess certain topics of conversation just don't upset or bother me in the way that they would other people. So it's not that I don't understand that what I'm saying is offensive. It's just that I'm a person who is comfortable talking about anything. I'm a person that will bring Kino Corner on a live stream and I will talk to him about circumcision. Like I just don't care. I don't have the energy to sit here and pretend that certain realities of life don't exist. So I would say I don't wanna say definitely agree because that implies that, like, I don't understand what it is that's going on. I'm gonna go with slightly agree. You don't come off as a traumatized or rough person. You don't know me well enough. You don't if you've listened to my depression chamber story, or if you got to know me well enough, you would understand what it is that I'm talking about. Circumcision is bad, that is true. Like the game dude always says, "That was mine. Fuck you." When I'm reading a story, I can easily imagine what the characters might look like. Yes. So like I will what's funny is that so when Mumkey was taking this test, when Mumkey and Florian and Erich were taking this test, I don't know whether it was whether it was just Mumkey that said this or if Florian and Erich said the same thing. But they were talking about having actors inside their heads. I don't do that. So I when I read books, I never insert actors into that. I don't wanna do that. And I think it's because I I hate most actors. Like, I hate them so much in general that it's just like I just hate Hollywood people and I don't like to visualize them in anything. So I basically just like I completely create entirely my own content. Like I put my own characters, I should say. Like I create visual representations of human faces and appearances entirely inside my own head. So I kind of invent the characters. And I do try to be considerate of what the author is writing, but I do sometimes for pleasure, like just to make the story more entertaining, I will visualize someone how I want to visualize them. But I do try to take into consideration the details that the author puts in to describe what a person looks like. So I would say definitely agree. I am fascinated by dates. So this was the question that Mumkey was joking around where he was saying like, "What kind of dates are you talking about?" And I mean, I think it's obvious that the question is talking about dates, like calendar dates, as opposed to the incelish obsession with getting a date. But what's interesting is that everybody on the podcast when they took this test, everybody said no, that they are not fascinated by dates, that they are apathetic towards this, and that they either or that they just like don't understand the purpose of the question. So my answer to this question is actually yes. So I have multiple calendars in my room, and I am somebody who, like, to try to justify and explain this to you, I would have to it's not a fascination with dates in the sense of the numeric aspect of it. There is definitely a little tiny bit like when it comes to like being autistic about schedules. That's definitely true for me. I'm a very regimented, scheduled kind of person. But the reason why my answer to this question is yes is because I am a very sentimental and very nostalgic person. And I tend to develop an emotional attachment to certain dates and to certain months out of the year and to certain years. So, like, there are certain months that have an emotional significance to me. Like, my favorite months of the year are and always have been. I love October because it is my month. It is spooky month, and you get to enjoy the excitement of Halloween and the changing of the leaves and all these different things. And then April, because of my birthday and because of it being Autism Awareness Month and because of Easter. So, and spring. So, those are things that I have an emotional attachment to. July is another month that I have a very strong emotional attachment to because July has always represented freedom to me in the sense that it represents the freedom to be away from the horrible environment of school and being able to be free in the sense that you have the capacity to use your time however you want. So I have an emotional attachment to certain months out of the year and certain years and certain days. Like when a certain date approaches and that has held significance to me in the past, I definitely get very emotional. So I would say yes, like definitely agree I am fascinated by dates. Yes, go eat your lunch, my friend. Anyway, in a social group, I can easily keep track of several different people's conversations. Yes. So I am that like psychopath that is like sitting in a library or sitting in a coffee shop or sitting in a mall and it's not even I shouldn't say I am that like psychopath that is like sitting in a library or sitting in a coffee shop or sitting in a mall and it's not even I shouldn't say I'm a psychopath because it's not intentional. I'm not doing it on purpose, but I am hearing and unintentionally internalizing all of the conversations that are going on around me. And I can keep track of and remember certain details of those conversations and what's going on in other people's lives. So I would definitely say yes. In a social group, if I'm surrounded by other people, I can keep track of all of the different things that are happening and all of the different things that people are thinking about. I find social situations easy. Yes, I would say it's something I mean, it's interesting that we're talking about this because I was talking on the phone with my I should probably text him actually that I'm live right now because I think he told me that he wanted to watch this. So, one second, I should tell him that. Anyway, I was talking on the phone with him just the other night, and one of the things that we were talking about is like I may be like an Aspergian, like autistic kind of person, but something that I have never ever really had and have always struggled to understand about other people is I've never had social anxiety. And I've never been a person who is necessarily afraid of other people and their expectations of me in a social context. I care a lot about what people like my teachers or my boss. I care a lot about what's the word? I don't know if I would use the word overseer. I don't know if that's the right word. I care about what I guess my elders or like my leaders think of me, but I don't give a fuck what my peers think of me. That's what I'll explain to you. Like I am emotionally attached to perhaps my boss thinking that I am doing a good job and recognizing that I care about the things that I do. I care about that kind of recognition and that kind of approval and that kind of attachment, but I don't give a fuck about what like my peers are saying about me. So if anything, the problem is not that I have social anxiety. The problem is that I'm a person who is too apathetic and who is too overt and too blunt about the way that I think about things. If anything, it's that I lack fear is what the problem is. So I would say I'm going to say slightly agree. Yeah, I do find social situations easy generally, but there are certain things that are difficult for me. I tend to notice details that others do not. Yes, strongly agree about that. I definitely am like overly perceptive to certain things. I would rather go to a library than to a party. Now, this is another question, and like Mumkey and Florian and Erich were saying that they didn't like this question either. I don't like this question because, again, it's like, what is the context of what it is that you're talking about? Like, are you saying like are you talking about an extreme, like, cringe, like, party where it's literally the meme of yourself standing against the wall, like, just watching other people get high and hating your life? If that's what you're talking about, then yes. But if you're talking about a party with people that I care about, people that I would want to be in the same room as, then yes, I would rather go do this. So it's I but the thing is I definitely enjoy places like libraries. I feel an emotional attachment to both of these things. So this is like a very difficult question to answer, and it's more so like you have to not think about the question in that context, and you just have to think about like what is it that the answer is supposed to say about me. So like you have to think about it like if I'm going to answer this question, how is it going to affect the results and what kind of results are they looking for in the test? I am going to say I would slightly agree that I would rather go to a library than a party because if their context of party is probably not the positive thing that I'm talking about. I find making up stories easy. Yes. I find it extremely easy. That's something that I do constantly inside my head every single day. I find myself drawn more strongly to people than to things. Definitely agree. So something that's interesting, and this is something that researchers have talked about, is they talk about the distinguishment between autistic males and autistic females. And one of the things that they like to talk about is they talk about how one of the major distinguishments is that autistic women like to they tend to get fixated and emotionally attached to like particular people. Like an autistic girl will, let's say, know every single detail about her favorite actor or her favorite writer or her favorite musician, as opposed to, let's say, having like an autistic fascination with like planes or things like that. So there's definitely like a stronger social connection there. Yes, so I would say I find myself more strongly drawn to people than to things. It's I'm strongly drawn to people, but it's that I struggle to achieve the attachment that I want with that person. I'll put it that way. I tend to have very strong interests, which I get upset if I cannot pursue. Yes. I am definitely somebody who can focus very heavily on the things that they want to do and the projects that they want to complete. And I would say that I am definitely a person who it can bother me and it can frustrate me if I'm not able to just get that out of my system and achieve the end goal that I want to achieve. So I would say yes. I enjoy social chit chat. Slightly disagree. Um, I I like to be kind to other people, and I like when I'm at work, I talk to people in the break room all the time, and I like talking to other people, but if you're talking about like really shitty, like mundane chit chatting, like boring, horrible shit, I no, I don't like talking about that. And I prefer heavier topics of conversation with somebody who I am very comfortable with, as opposed to like the mundane surface level chit chat. So uh this is like a tough question. I'm struggling to decide whether I want to say slightly agree or slightly disagree. I like to be nice to other people and I like to be friendly, but I don't know how much I would say I enjoy social chit chat. When I talk, it isn't always easy for others to get a word in edgewise. Um, no, I think I would say disagree. It's the opposite of that. It's that people, um, if anything, like I tend to be a more I can talk, I certainly can if you give me the opportunity, but I try to be very respectful of what other people want to say, and I try to give them that space to talk about the things that they wanna talk about. So I would say disagree. But for the other one about enjoying social chit chat, I'm gonna say slightly disagree. I am fascinated by numbers. No. So math is actually despite having like an understanding of dates or things like the car license plates and things like that, and time, that's another one, like when I look at time on a clock, I I would not say that I am fascinated by numbers. So I am very mathematically challenged, like in a very significant way, and I would say no. I am not fascinated by numbers. I'm fascinated by numbers in a specific context, but not in general. When I am reading a story, I find it difficult to work out the character's intentions. No, I don't find it difficult to do that. I when I guess like one of the things that I love so much about Death Note is the entire point of the story is it's the balance between it's the distinguishment between the actual verbal conversations that are happening between characters versus the internal monologues and those dark intentions and the different motivations that are going on inside their heads. So like that's one of the distinguishments that I like in Death Note is the way that it delivers the story in that way of showing you here are the actual actions and the conversations that these characters are having and here are the hidden bits of information and motivations that they have going on inside their head. But when I read a story in general, yeah, I'm pretty good at deciphering things like foreshadowing, and I'm pretty good at understanding what the characters are trying to do and what they're most likely going to do. So I would say yes, I'm pretty good at doing that, and no, I don't find it difficult. Let me fix my hair because it's still drying. So no, I do not find it difficult to do that. I don't particularly enjoy reading fiction. That is completely wrong. I like reading fiction all the time, but I also like informational things. So I like both fiction and I like real things. I like true crime, I like documentaries, I like both. So I would say no, definitely disagree. I do enjoy reading fiction. I find it hard to make new friends. Definitely agree. I I had a very strong group of friends that I had in high school from my, like, alternative, autistic, edgy high school that I went to. But in college, aside from the equestrian team that I was on, I found it really, really difficult to form attachments with other people, and I do in general, because I just feel like the life experiences that I have and the things that I've dealt with in my life, it's things that very few people have had to experience, and it's just not something that they would be able to understand. So, I would say yes, I find it very hard to make new friends. I notice patterns in things all the time. Yes. I definitely have good pattern recognition and things like that. I notice patterns all the time and I pay attention to them. I would rather go to a theater than to a museum. I would rather go to a museum, but I'm going to put slightly disagree, because I don't, I mean, I don't hate theaters. But I if you're talking about what I would rather be physically standing and walking around looking at pieces of art than going to a theater, but I'm not opposed to going to a theater. So but it's just if you're talking like, again, this question is fucking stupid. I don't understand what is why am I supposed to pick one or over the other, and how does that indicate that I'm autistic? Like, I don't understand what the point of this question is. It's like, why is the preference of going to a theater supposed to make I this is just a dumb question. I don't understand what it means. I like both of these things, and I don't understand how it's relevant to the test. It's like, I guess they're saying like a theater is more sensory in the sense that like there's more sound, it's crowded. I guess that's what they're trying to say. I don't understand it, but I just think that's a stupid question. It does not upset me if my daily routine is disturbed. It does not upset me. I am going to put slightly disagree. If it is, disturbed, it is what it is, but it definitely I am somebody who needs to adjust, and I need to create patterns not patterns, create plans inside my head for things. I'm a very scheduled person. So I would say that I am somebody who needs to psychologically brace themselves before I do something new or before I break that pattern. So I'm going to say slightly disagree. It does upset me a little bit. I frequently find that I don't know how to keep a conversation going. No, this is not true. Like me and Kino Corner, I think we like that was the first time that I ever talked to Kino Corner was on that live stream, and he and I talked, I think for like 2 hours, me and Kino Corner were talking. Yeah, so I don't have a problem with that at all. I find it easy to read between the lines when someone is talking to me. No. Um I find it no, I mean, yes, I find it easy. This is not challenging for me. I generally am pretty good at deciphering when somebody has ill intentions or when somebody is trying to get something out of me. I would say, yeah, I agree. I can usually read those things about a person. Like if they are either like attracted to me or if they are angry at me or have bad motivations, yeah, I can pick stuff like that out pretty easily. I have a pretty strong intuition for that. I usually concentrate more on the whole picture rather than the small details. No. Um I'm capable of understanding and recognizing both. I would say slightly disagree because I would say that I am a very detailed oriented person in that I do pay attention to those details. I'm just struggling between whether I would say that I slightly disagree versus like yeah, I'll say slightly disagree. I don't think that's a bad answer to give. I am not very good at remembering phone numbers. Um no, I would say that I'm not very good at remembering them. I would say, yeah, I'm not very good at it. Like somebody I will try to like imprint and memorize a phone number like when I hear somebody say it, and then I will forget like digits. Yeah, so I would say it takes a bit of like practice, but once I once I've imprinted it inside my head, it's not a problem. But I would say I'm not very good at remembering phone numbers. Slightly agree. I feel like that's a good way to put it. Was reading between the lines a developed skill for you, or was it an intuition thing? So, like, was intuition always strong? Always intuition. You could. It's not even an autistic thing. Like what they're talking about is like autistic people being very literal, but what I'm talking about a spiritual, intuitive thing. Like when you are in the room with a certain person on a spiritual level as a human being, you can feel when somebody in the room has bad intentions, or you can feel when there is sexual tension between yourself and another person. But the thing is with sexual tension, you can only tell when somebody is attracted to you if you are not attracted to them. Like one of my favorite, there's a 4chan post. I definitely have a screenshot of it on one of my hard drives. There's a 4chan post where some guy posted a picture of Dennis Reynolds, and he was talking about how, like, when he's at work, he can instantly predict who's gonna start dating each other, who's gonna become friends, and, like, all of these different things. Just, like, as an observer, he has, like, dentist tier, like, intuitive skills where he can, like, completely socially determine the direction of everybody's interactions and relationships with each other, but he has 0 ability to apply this intuition to himself. If I am attracted to a guy, then I can't if I'm attracted to him, then I can't tell. But if I am, like, indifferent towards him or the attraction is mild, then I can pick up on it. I don't usually notice small changes in a situation or a person's appearance. Strongly disagree. I will notice things like I will notice that you changed your hair color. I will notice that you painted your nails. I will notice that you cut your hair. I will notice all different things like that. I will notice that you bought new clothes. So I notice things like that. So I would say I strongly disagree. I notice them all the time. I don't know how to tell if someone listening to me is getting bored. No, I would say that I do know how to tell that. I the problem is that I as a person, like the things that I care about and the things that I find interesting are very boring to other people. Like I will like listen to like criminology, uh not seminars, what's the word that I'm talking about? I will listen to criminology lectures. I will listen to hour-long plus podcasts and things like that. So, like, I the things that I find interesting are things that other people would definitely find boring. So the question is, I know how to tell if somebody listening to me is getting bored. Yes, I would say I do know how to tell. I find it easy to do more than one thing at once. Um, Slightly agree. Yeah, I'd say slightly agree. I don't like to multitask because I feel like when you multitask, you tend to make mistakes. So if I can avoid doing that, I will. But I would say that I can manage it, but I would just prefer not to do it. When I talk on the phone, I'm not sure when it's my turn to speak. I would say I slightly agree with this. It's I think what it is when you're talking on the phone with somebody, and it's not even that autistic of a trait. It's because when you're talking on the phone with somebody, you can't read the body language cues that a person is giving you. Like you can't see like the anticipation of like, oh, this person wants to say something really bad. Like you can't determine things like, or you can't see like the tension, like if they are upset about something that you said. Like these are things that you can't see. You're just entirely listening to what they're talking about. So I would say when you're talking on the phone, yeah, it is harder to determine things like that. I enjoy doing things spontaneously. No. I would say slightly disagree. So not like strongly, it's not a vehement thing. Sometimes I will do things, like if it's within the realm of reason, yes, I'll do something spontaneously, but I would say no. I generally like to do things based off of a schedule. I like to have a sense and a plan inside my head of what I am going to do throughout a day. This doesn't mean that I won't break this plan, or I do. I do things that are make me happy spontaneously. But like for example, when I was driving home today, so just like a day or two ago, I went and got an Italian ice because it's my birthday today, and I did that completely spontaneously. That the Friday that I was driving home, I just was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go do that." So it's not like I won't do it, but it's just I would prefer to have a structured idea of what I'm doing. I am often the last to understand the point of a joke. Strongly disagree on this one. I believe that edgy, autistic internet people have the greatest we have the best capacity to understand sarcasm and satire. We are better at understanding those social structures than other people are. I hit someone while driving yesterday and I drove off. Nobody knows but me. Well, now I'm going to call the FBI right now. How old are you? Never mind, you're 18 years old. I was going to be like, are you even old enough to drive? But I forgot you're 18 years old. Yeah, so I've always believed that edgy autistic people, we are smarter than the average people in this way. Like we understand, like, yes, the social context of this offensive thing that is said is socially acceptable because it's not an actual reflection of a person's intentions or feelings or things like that. So I would say I am better, significantly better at understanding when someone is being ironic or when somebody is making a joke than other people are. I find it easier to decipher and determine intentions like that. I find it easy to work out what someone is thinking or feeling just by looking at their face. So a test that I actually took, because one of my friends, I'm friends with Zephyr the Seventh. I don't know if any of you guys know who that is, but there's a guy named Zephyr who makes videos about Elliot Rodger. He makes Elliot Rodger analysis videos. And he showed me there's an eye test for people with autism where the point of the test is that all you can see, they are photographs of just human eyes, so just this portion of the face, and you are supposed to label certain eyes with certain emotions. So they give you four different options. What do these eyes say? And you can say they reflect anticipation, they reflect anger, they reflect happiness, or they reflect um sorrow, or like things like that. So you have to label certain eyes as having certain emotions, and I scored within the neurotypical range of that, actually. So maybe when I was younger, perhaps I would have gotten a poorer score on that test. But yeah, I would say I agree. Like I would say I agree. Yeah, I can do that. If there is an interruption, I can switch back to what I was doing very quickly. Uh, no, I would say I slightly disagree. Like I have to psychologically prepare myself for the things that I do. And I like if I am painting and then I have, like, for example, if I'm working on the painting, and then I have, like, for example, if I'm working on the painting right now, the artwork for the second chapter of the story. If I break away from that, it can be hard to get back into that psychological state or to put myself back in that space. It takes me maybe like a half hour or like fifteen to like maybe 20 minutes at social chit chat. Slightly agree. I'm good at being friendly to people. I'm good at asking them questions about like how their family is doing and things like that. I would say I'm good at it for the most part. People often tell me that I keep going on and on about the same thing. Yes, I wouldn't say that they I wouldn't say that they often tell me that though. That's the only thing is I know that I am capable of retaining a heavy amount of knowledge about a subject, and I'm capable of talking about certain subjects a lot if you want me to. But I wouldn't say that it happens to me often. So that's why I would say slightly agree, though. That's the only thing. When I was young, I used to enjoy playing games involving pretending with other children. Yeah, I liked to use my imagination in things like that. I still like to use my imagination for things like that. I still like to play imagination games just in a more mature context, I would say. I like to collect information about things and categories of things. For example, types of cars, birds, trains, plants. Yes. Definitely agree. So I would say that I have like and this is something like for example, we were everybody was talking about Randy Stare. I don't remember which stream it was. Everybody was talking about Randy Stare. We were all talking about Randy Stare on one of the streams that I did. And I was like the only person who knew details about like him taking a bunch of ZQL. I knew details about different things like about his family and things like that. Like I have like an autistic tier of knowledge about every single like true crime case that I've ever read about. I have like an autistic level of knowledge about it. And I have the same thing like I know autistic levels of knowledge about TV shows and movies. Like I know so many details and I recall so many details about like my favorite characters, the actors that play them, the directors, things that happen behind the scenes. Like I am very autistic in that way where I like to collect information and retain information. Randy probably got high on Advil. By the way, one of the things I just wanted to give clarification in that video that I made, the one that I used using the AI where I was pretending to be Gamer from Mars, the line that I threw in there about Monkey getting high on Advil, that's a Game Dude reference. And I don't know why this is so fucking funny to me. But one of the funniest things about that video where it's the Game Dude and he's filming himself outside of that lake in Vancouver and he's like bitching about Alana and all this shit. He's talking about how he was trying to calm himself down. He was trying to stop himself from calling her, and he took like a shitload of Advil to get himself high. And I don't know why. It's there was something so uniquely retarded about taking Advil specifically. And I had a friend who I should say I dated a guy who worked at a hospital for a brief period of time. And he told me that something that just like really fucking stupid people do all the time. He said that people who are suicidal will take like Advil or Tylenol to try to kill themselves, and they do it because they don't understand that like these are not real painkillers. Like they're not like Oxycontin, and you're not going to die. Like you're going to erode the lining of your stomach and probably vomit, but like it's not going to kill you if you take like a handful of Advil. Like it's not going to fucking do anything to you. It's just going to get you like really like you're just going to feel extremely high and throw up or something. It's not going to do anything to you. But anyway, the concept of getting high on Advil, there's something about that is just it just hits me. This I don't know, it's just so fucking funny to me. I find it difficult to imagine what it would have been like to be somebody else. No, I don't find it difficult to imagine. I would say no. I try to be empathetic towards people, and I try to understand the things that they've experienced and how that contextualizes the way that they are now. So I would say no. The only thing that I try to be considerate of when I try to show empathy towards other people is I try to understand that like I there are always going to be certain elements of their experience that I don't understand. I don't remember what specific Bible quote or line of scripture it is that I'm thinking of, but there's something there's a piece of scripture that basically says you it's kind of like the essence of it is like and there but by the grace of God go I. And it's the idea of like you have to be you have to have a certain level of humility when you look at other people, and you have to understand the fact that you do not have the same knowledge that God has of other people's motivations and their experiences, and you cannot always attack and dissect the behavior and the decisions of other people because you do not know the full details of what they were experiencing inside their heart and how their past experiences affected their way of thinking and different things like that. So basically there's a line in scripture that's saying you can't judge people for the things that they do in certain situations always because you don't know the full context of why they made the decisions that they made. And it's just about being having a certain level of humility. So yeah, I would say no, I don't find it difficult to imagine what it would be like to be somebody else. I like to carefully plan any activities I participate in, yes. Even if the other people are the thing is, the other people around me don't have to do the things that I'm doing. Like, they don't have to follow my weird structure or routine, but it's just that within the context of my own life, like to live that way. I enjoy social occasions. Um, yeah, yeah, I would say agree. I find it difficult to work out people's intentions. No. I was saying earlier, I don't find it difficult to do that. I think it's very easy to understand when a person has bad intentions. There are certain senses that God gives you where you can feel when a person is going to hurt you. New situations make me anxious. Yes. I would say definitely agree. Not to the extent that I'm like having anxiety attacks, but I definitely like okay, so for example, I am going to the second half of my training tomorrow. There's a certain training thing that I've been doing for my job. I did the first half of it last week on the first Monday, and now tomorrow is the second Monday of training, and they're holding it at a different location that I've never driven to before. And for example, that's always a point of anxiety to me is driving to a place that I've never driven before. And that gives me anxiety because I'm afraid of having a car accident because I'm not familiar with where I am and I'm scared about making a wrong turn and getting lost or things like that. And it's the kind of thing that like nobody else would give a fuck about. Like they would just put the information into their GPS and would just go and they wouldn't care. But for me, like I tend to like I can be sensitive about things like that. I enjoy meeting new people. Yes. I would say that I do. It's not like what it is with me is it's not that I don't like other people. It's not I would say that I'm significantly more social of a person than my behavior would lead you to believe. And the reason why I am asocial and weird like that is not because I don't want to have attachments with other people. It's that my life experiences and the interests that I have as a person are so they are so unrelatable to the average person, and it's not things that most other people have had to experience and deal with, and it's not their fault, and they shouldn't feel bad about it, and I don't have any sort of distaste for them because of it, but it's just that I struggle to make friends and I struggle to attach myself to people because the things that I have had to go through in life or the things that I think about and the things that motivate me and that I care about and that I am emotionally invested in are things that other people I don't think understand. It's not that I have anything against them, it's that they just don't understand it. But I it makes me happy when I get to be around other people and when they are happy to be with me. I am a good diplomat. Yes. I would say I'm pretty good at negotiating and finding solutions to things and things like that. I would say yes, I am. I am not very good at remembering people's dates of birth. This one I have an easier time remembering. So I am significantly I would say that I have an easier time remembering people's dates of birth than I do their phone numbers. So I would say disagree. I am better at definitely remembering people's birthdays than I am at remembering their phone numbers. So I would say slightly disagree. I find it very easy to play games with children that involve pretending. Um, no, I would say I mean, no, I shouldn't say that. Again, this is one of those questions where it's like I have worked with children in the jobs that I've had. I've worked with children many different times and I like children, but what it is I guess it's more so like it's a confidence-based thing, I would say. Do you have any children in your life, like family? I mean, it's funny because my cousins have a lot of my cousins have had children lately, but I am the youngest sibling in my family. I only have one older sister. I don't have any children of my own, but I've worked with children before, and I've been around children before, and I've played with children before. It's just that again, it's more so what it is like, and this is common for people who have like post traumatic stress disorder the way that I do. A lot of people with PTSD or similar things like that they struggle to be around children because I work with children every single day. I shouldn't say that, but it's children can be almost kind of like a trigger for me at times where what it is, it's when you look at a kid and you're somebody who has PTSD, it's like you think about all of the things that could hurt them and you think about all of the things that could happen to them or that are going to happen to them and it just makes you feel really upset and scared for them is more so what it is. Like when you look at kids, you think about how vulnerable they are and it brings back your memories of the things that happened to you when you were as young as they were. So what your memories of the things that happened to you when you were as young as they were. So what it is when you look at children, it can kind of it brings up a lot of that pain and a lot of that fear from your own childhood. And when you look at them, it makes you realize how vulnerable and how small and how fragile they are. And it's upsetting because it's like you don't want those things to happen to them, but you know that you can't stop it and you know that those things are going to hurt them. And that's why it's scary. Would you want to have kids if you met the right man? Yes, I would. I'm 27, so I only have 3 years of eggs left before everything just dies. So we'll see about that. But yeah, I would say I agree. I do. Um, but it's just like children have always been something that I like them, but it's especially kids the ones that trigger me is I'm not triggered by babies so much, and I'm not really triggered by like young elementary school children very much. I'm triggered by like when I see like middle school kids and like kids like that are like ages like 10 to like the teenage years. Like that's what triggers me because that's like when all of like a lot of the horrible things happen to me. So like it's the attachment to myself. So I'm going to score this now because I'm just rambling about post traumatic stress and that's not relevant to what the fuck we're talking about. Interesting. So the score that I got was 24 out of a possible 50. Scores in the 0 to 25 range indicate few or no autistic traits. So this is very interesting. I was anticipating that I was going to get something in the low 30s, like maybe like a 30 out of 50. So that's at the same time. I'm okay. I'm 27 years old today. 27 years old. And the way I have definitely changed as a person over time in the sense that I have developed a lot of skills and a lot of ability to I wouldn't say mask. I don't like that word. I mean it's the right word to say. I guess to conceal my autistic traits and how to compensate for them. So this score does not necessarily surprise me that I at the age of 27 would get this score. When I was younger, like if I took this test when I was like 13 or like 11, like when I got diagnosed, I think that my answer would have been different. But yeah, so it says 0 to 25 range indicate few or no autistic traits. So I guess it's 25 to 50 is the range where you would be considered autistic. So I got a higher score. I think Mumkey's score was like a 17. So I am more autistic than he is. I'm basically right at the range. Like it's saying that if I just got one more of these questions and it would be 25, then I would be within the autistic range. So I'm close enough. But yeah, that's pretty accurate. How am I? I'm apparently not autistic because the score was 25 out of 50 as opposed to 24 out of 50 as opposed to 25 or more. So apparently, according to this, I'm not autistic, which is very interesting. I disagree with that, but yeah. I got 29 out of 50. That's what you said. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it's not like. Oh, he replied to me. So Monkey showed me the thing that I was asking about. Okay, that's not relevant to what we're talking. I'll read that later. Sorry. Somebody replied to me in a comment on Monkey's video, and I couldn't read it. So I was trying to see what it was. Um, I so we basically celebrated my birthday yesterday because myself, my mother, and my sister, my dad's retired, but we all have work tomorrow. So we basically celebrated my birthday yesterday. So we went out to a diner and we had cake and things like that. I'll post pictures of that today, as opposed to yesterday. I was holding on to the pictures so I could post them today. But yeah, I mean, I am just gonna finish. I'm gonna probably go for a walk because it's finally stopped raining. And I'm probably just going to finish the painting that I'm making for what is it? I'm gonna finish the painting that I'm making for the second chapter of the story. I am also autistic. Yeah, we all are. Everybody in this and everybody all 530 plus subscribers that I have are all autistic. All of them are. All of them are. I did treat myself. Do you guys want to know how I treated myself? My ex who's in the chat right now, my ex knows what I'm talking about. He knows what I did. How I treated myself. I'll show you guys. So I stopped at the start of the year. So I yes, he says he knows. My ex says he knows. So I got one of these on Friday. And I don't give a shit what you say. I earned this. I have earned this through a lot of things that I've had to deal with over the past couple of months. I earned that. So I got that. If you're envious, just go do it. I was telling you, it's funny because so Kino Corner, talking to him on stream, however many weeks ago that was. One of the things that we were talking about, and I was explaining this to my older sister. Part of the reason why I think it's okay to occasionally smoke a cigarette is because um, a lot of like the stupid science bitches. Yes, it is cigarettes. All of the stupid science bitches and the libtards, shall I say, they're always talking about child-free life. You need to have a child-free life. The earth is overpopulated. We're all dying. Oh my, I shouldn't say that. We're all going to die because of global warming and overpopulation. The problem with that analysis of it is it's not that we are having too many children. It's that we are not dying. And the problem when it comes to the density and population is not that it's that people a human being is not supposed to live past a certain age. And you can see that reflected. We are in a position where we can survive for very long periods of time due to certain medical advances. But those medical advances are it's basically like after a certain age, you're being kept alive by direct medical intervention. Like very, very hands-on, very direct medical intervention. And you are not supposed to live past a certain age. And it's basically the way that I see it is it is okay to die and it is okay to get old. It's okay because it's not that I'm trying to be nihilistic about this. It's that I am just a person, like, I'm a very spiritual, I'm a very religious person. It's just that I see it as being like, "Oh, by the way, I got a new cross. I got rid of the old one I had because it was bleached by the sun, and I got a new cross." I'll tell you guys about that later. But I'm somebody who thinks it's completely okay to die. And I don't mean that in a suicidal, nihilistic way. I mean that in the sense that it's okay to be with God. And the thing those who are afraid of death are afraid of God's love. That's what I'm talking about. Like it's okay for you to die. And you're only going to live for so long anyway. And I guess I just see it as like it's okay to do certain things and to celebrate on occasion and to experience certain things in life. I'm afraid of leaving things on this side undone. I understand that. There are certain things that I want to do with my life and that I feel like I am very close to achieving with my life. But I can understand that. It's not that I wouldn't say that this world doesn't matter at all, but it's just that I think it's okay to pass on. It's okay to be with God and to be with the other people in your family that have died because you're going to see the people who are still alive are going to see you again. I haven't accomplished enough to die. I feel like I have. Like I'll be honest with you. If I don't make it out of the 27 club, like this is my first day as a 27-year-old. Where's my purse? There it is. But I if I die this year, I would be okay with that because even if I there's one specific thing in particular that I haven't gotten to do, but I have gotten to do a lot with my life. I've gotten to do a lot with my life, and I'm very, very happy about the things that I've gotten to do. So this is the old cross that I had, and I don't know if you guys can see, there's a lot of damage and it's like very worn down and something that me it's like rusted and a lot of things like that. And something that me and my dad were laughing at is if you flip the cross over, you can see that's the side of it that wasn't exposed to the sunlight. And you can see what those original colors cross over. You can see that's the side of it that wasn't exposed to the sunlight. And you can see what those original colors looked like. So you can see the worn, sort of broken down version on that side. And then when you flip it, you can see the colors that used to be there, the green and the yellow colors that used to be on that side. So this is the one I got this one in 2021 and I've worn it every single day pretty much for 2 years. And so today I got this pretty like bright green one. My favorite color is green, so I got this one. And this is the first day I'm wearing it today. Is it anodized? I have no fucking idea. I need not all men are meant to be great. Accept the love of the Lord and learn and lean in closer to the edge. Yeah. It's the one thing that you have to understand is it's like no, I did not make these. There's a woman on Amazon. It's called the business is called Horseshoe Crosses. I think it's just called this is the card. When you buy them, this is the card that you get. So it's Horseshoe Crosses and you can buy them on Amazon. And on the back, she has this little Matthew quote. So it says, "Then said Jesus unto his disciples, If any man will come after me, let him deny himself and take up a cross and follow me." So it's Matthew. And then you can buy them on Amazon though. And they have all different sorts of colors. You can definitely find one that you like. If you love God so much, then don't smoke those cigarettes. I meant to laugh about this with Kino Corner. Um, I'll tell you guys my favorite saint in a second. So something that I meant to talk to Kino Corner about, because he talks about smoking on sometimes, is I don't know if you guys know this, but basically the anti-tobacco industry is just as arch and just as evil and just as money driven and just as fucked up as the tobacco companies, it's the tobacco industry itself. So one of the things that I found very interesting that I only learned, so I never smoked before. The first time I ever smoked, I mean really smoked. The first cigarette I had was when I was like 16, and then I never did it again. I took one puff and I never did it again. But something that I only learned when I was about 23 or 24 years old, and it makes a lot of sense given the context, is that a lot of the things that we grew up hearing, a lot of the anti-tobacco propaganda that our generation grew up on, was promoted by Hollywood and promoted by a lot of. There's you could get into a whole analysis as to why you think that is, as to why you think the like Illuminati types don't want us smoking cigarettes. Maybe it's because nicotine awakens certain chemicals in your brain and makes you more perceptive to things that they don't want you to be able to perceive or things like that. But one of the things that I found really interesting that I learned a couple of years ago is that secondhand smoke, the pretty much the entire concept of secondhand smoke actually isn't real. And there's very little medical science to prove that. The entire concept of secondhand smoke was invented by anti tobacco enthusiasts because they were trying to create, by those lobbyists, those people who were anti tobacco, they created the concept of secondhand smoke to scare people who don't smoke into supporting their cause. And they basically, what I'm trying to say is, like, if let's say you live in an apartment with a person who smokes cigarettes, just living in that space with them, living with your roommate who smokes, or having a family member who does, it does not put you at any greater risk for anything because you're not the one who's smoking. Like basically what I'm trying to say is that this shit isn't real. And if I can find articles, I can link you guys to it. But basically the point was, the concept of secondhand smoke was invented by anti-tobacco lobbyists and people like that in order to gain those votes to pass legislation from people who don't smoke. Because when you think about the argument of a lot of the smoking bans and different things that we grew up seeing, one of the arguments that I think most people would make when it comes to personal freedoms is, well, it's your personal choice, and I don't smoke, so I don't see why other people should be limited. Like, it doesn't affect me, it's their personal choice. And they had to, in order to get the votes that they needed to pass that anti-tobacco legislation, they had to come up with something to make people who don't smoke feel affected and involved in the cause. And their way of doing that was to invent the concept of secondhand smoke. So it's very interesting when you read about it, but it's not real, is what I'm saying to you. There is no such thing as secondhand smoke. It doesn't exist. Can you smoke cigars on stream? I can't smoke on stream because if I smoke in this room, it's going to smell horrible for the literally for like 3 weeks. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to smoke outside. The Rob Reiner episode of South Park, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Like, I'm telling you guys, if you look through the information, if you find different things, you're gonna see what I'm talking about. Secondhand smoke, it does not exist. It's not a real concept. Oh, but I think I should tell you guys about this. So, um, the new episode of the Treehouse podcast that Monkey did with Eggy, where they have the little kitten, because I think that I wanted to talk about what I wrote on the comment because I think you guys might think it's interesting. So, Monkey was talking about a movie that he and Eggy watched called Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. And it's a movie that is about even if I open the windows, it's still going to smell like shit, and my mom's going to yell at me. So, I'm not going to do it. But the movie is based off of a book, and it's a movie that's about um, girlhood, adolescence, and female puberty. So it's what Mumkey and Eggy. I haven't seen the movie, but what Mumkey and Eggy were saying is that the movie is basically like a carbon copy of Cuties, and it's very sexually explicit and provocative and excessive. A movie that I did like that I guess some people had slightly similar criticisms of, but nowhere near to the extent of Cuties or things like this. It's nowhere near as bad. Um, was Turning Red. That's another movie that was a little bit controversial because of its depiction of female puberty and things like that. So I had commented on the video in reference to the movie that Monkey and Eggy saw and were talking about. And I had commented on it and I said, I take no issue with literature and films depicting female adolescence in an honest way. The problem is that these films do it provocatively to challenge sex negative misogyny, as though it wouldn't be creepy to depict underage males in the same way. We all go through puberty. We don't need we all go through puberty. We don't need a dramatization to empathize with it. And what I was saying was that I it's the kind of thing where it's been done wrong so many times now that I as a woman, like I want to make a movie about that involves adolescent female characters and them developing their sexualities just so I can show you how to do this correctly, how to do this in a way that is not offensive. Just to show people that this is something that can be done in a comedic, comfortable way. It's like I want to. It annoys me. It annoys me how this is created. So I commented that on the video, and somebody replied to me, and I don't know why this reply was shadow banned to my comment. And I asked Mumkey, like, can you see the comment that can you see the thing that somebody replied to me with? So we're gonna read the reply of the guy. So the guy's name is Laser Ape, and he replied to my comment saying, these days, female adolescence has been boiled down to exclusively periods and sex. Like there's no coming of age or psychological maturity involved. It's all just fucking bleeding out your gash. It's all just fucking and bleeding out your gash. Yes, that's exactly what I'm talking about. So I don't understand why YouTube shadow banned that comment because it was really, really good. That's why I asked Monkey to show it to me. Um, but it's something that I wish that I could make a movie that depicts that. I would have to think of an actual interesting plot because it's not something that I think about writing a lot and I don't really care that much. It's more so just that I would want to do it just so I could show people like yes, yes, you can write a movie that is about this that is funny in the way that like Superbad was funny or something like that and make a movie about teenage girls developing and convey it in an honest and accurate way, and you can do it in a way that is not creepy or sexually provocative. So that it annoys me. It aggravates me that like this is an issue that these movies exist. I've been doing bong rips for about 3.5 hours, and I have major dry mouth right now. Yeah, that is one thing. Even when you smoke cigarettes, that's annoying. Is the dry mouth. Have you seen Eighth Grade? No, I have not. Drink the bong water. Yeah. That was funny. I remember that day. American Pie is a definitive movie for the teenage male experience. Yeah, and but the thing is, like, American Pie, like, it is. I don't support sex positive. Um, what's the word? I don't support sex positive politics, and I don't support things like that. But as a female, I will say it does annoy me, the idea that male sexual development has been depicted in films and books and TV shows for so many years. It's been depicted in such an edgy, funny, entertaining way. And yeah, I do agree, and I don't understand the concept of why is it so taboo to process the idea that young women go through their own development. It's been going on for thousands of years, and I don't understand why it is such a taboo thing. And the only problem is the basically the feminists that make these movies do so in the most self-defeating, awful, ineffective way, where they depict it as being extremely offensive and extremely grungy and just gratuitous. They're gratuitous in their depiction of female adolescent development. And they do a disservice to themselves because they reinforce the idea that this is taboo. And in the process of reinforcing the fact that it's taboo, they sexually satisfy psychopaths that are watching the movie. Like they make movies that people like Mr. Girl enjoy. Women just need to make it funnier. Yeah, they do need to make it funnier. What is your favorite restaurant? I don't think I have one. If you're talking about fast food, I think Wendy's is probably one of the better ones when it comes to like fast food burger chains and stuff like that. I always felt like Wendy's had pretty high quality shit. It's expensive, but yeah, it's good. I'm saying they need to be less grotesque. They need to be honest, but not done in a way that's just like, what the fuck am I watching? Lena Dunham is the last fucking person who should make that, because her Lena Dunham's sexual development involved shoving rocks in her little sister's vagina. I don't think we need to hear any of that from her perspective. So I disagree. I'll reply to this really quick. It's not, it's, you know what? Fine. I'm just gonna start saying, yeah, yeah, that's a painting of me. I'm just gonna start saying that because it looks enough like me. It's not technically supposed to be me, but I don't care anymore. And we're just gonna start saying that, yeah, that's a picture of me. What's the worst thing about feminism in your opinion? It's the satanic roots of it. Feminism has always had occult connections, and it's always been about separating men and women from each other and about eroding the God's given structured bond between male and female. It's always been about that. It's not about equality. It's always been about pulling men and women apart from each other and deconstructing the family unit. So it's always been about that. So I don't like the motivations of it. I don't like the intentions of it. I don't like what it's done to our culture. So no, generally speaking, no, I don't like feminism. But a lot of the old school feminists were basically Freemasons. So it's stereotypical shit that this circle of the internet is very familiar with. A lot of satanic, a lot of occult stuff. I'm not Chinese. I am part Irish though, but I am a girl boss. I'm thinking that I'm going to end the stream now because I took the test. We've determined that I'm a single point away from being autistic, even though I have diagnosed Asperger syndrome. I don't like those tests in general. I don't think that they're very accurate. Um, but yes, it is my birthday today. I am now 27, and we're gonna see if I can survive for this entire year. So I'll check back with you guys in a year. I'll check back with you guys on April 23rd, 2024, and we will see if I'm still alive. If not, I'll make sure somebody posts my obituary so you guys can laugh about how I died. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go out, I'm gonna smoke a cigarette, go for a walk, and then I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna finish this painting that I have to make for the second chapter of the story. We're gonna go for maybe like another 2 minutes and then I'm gonna shut it down. Do you guys have any final questions or things that you want to talk about? Feminism, if it was actually about if it, because the problem with feminism is that it's about it's about it's about I feel like feminism is a lot of it is about equating women with men and taking away from the natural positivity of being female. I think it's about it's to me feminism demeans women in a lot of ways and it makes those feminine instincts and those feminine ideas and that womanly way of being seem useless and ineffective and purposeless. And I that's the problem that I have with it. One of the interesting papers that I wrote in college was it was not a long paper, it was just a little writing assignment that I did in college where I wrote about I don't know if you guys have ever seen the music video for the song Stupid Girls by Pink. It's a funny song. Um but if you watch the music video for Stupid Girls by Pink, if you watch it, it has this little girl character and she's watching TV and she's kind of like a tomboy little girl type of figure. And the problem that I have with this music video and the main criticism that the video received when it first came out is that it shows the image of the the angel and the devil on the shoulder, the split between the conscience, good conscience, bad conscience, things like that. And the video literally depicts this little girl's femininity as a devil on her shoulder. And it depicts those girly things as being this evil thing that she should reject and that she should not lean into. One of my favorite movies, if you're talking about a positive feminist film, I don't know if this is a feminist film. It probably, most people I think might say that it is. One of my favorite movies, because it's just funny and I like it in general, is Legally Blonde. And one of the reasons why I like Legally Blonde so much as a film is because the movie, the entire point of the movie is that Elle's character retains her personality and retains her feminine characteristics while growing and developing and changing and finding herself as a person and applying herself and her intelligence and her abilities in a good way. She does so in her way while being honest and being true to herself. And that's why I like that movie. So if you guys want a good feminist film, Legally Blonde, I like this movie. That's a very good movie. To talk about how much I want to be with you for the rest of my life. I have always dreamed about having a Chinese Irish wife. Would you yell in another language and beat me over the smallest things? We look alike. I think you are my female counterpart of my genome. Yeah, I would. I don't know another language. I'll be honest with you. I don't think I would have the capacity to yell in another language, but I can certainly beat the shit out of you. I have not seen Tokyo Police Squad, but Legally Blonde is a genuinely good movie. But yes, I think feminism, if it did not have occult roots, and if the point of it was not about female erasure and was about actually accentuating the positivity in women, yes, I think it would be good. All right, I think I'm gonna end the stream now, because I have to go on a walk and I have to go to the bathroom. So I am gonna go end the stream, and then I'm gonna go on a smoke walk, and then I'm gonna finish this painting and then be done with my day. Okay, I will see you guys next time. I've enjoyed taking this little test and discovering that I'm not actually autistic. So that's very interesting. Bye, guys.